You're listening to the In the Mix podcast with Marvin Joles. Here's your host.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of In the Mix. We're kind of in the off season a little bit here. When I say off season, of course, you all know that I kind of take some time in the winter to make sure we do our podcasting, our media, and all those things. And we've had a great variety of guests as of late. If you've been listening, I'm really excited about this one. As you know, my boy Eli wrestles, and he's constantly sending me Instagram reels, and then I'm sending him back Instagram reels. Most of the time, they have to do with wrestling. Once in a while, we'll do some David Goggins stuff or Cam Hanes stuff will get thrown in there. But most of the time, they're wrestling when it comes between me and him. And what that has done has changed my algorithm from mostly asphalt construction content to about 50-50. Now I got MMA wrestling content and construction content about half and half. And I seen an ad on there. It wasn't even an ad. It was just a reel. And it was for this movie coming out called Standout. And I was like, this is a wild story. I love it. I love the attitude of inspiration and ways that we can come over things. So today I have Ben Kjar with me. And the movie Standout is based on your life, Ben. So it's really, really cool to have you here, man, and share this journey with us. How you doing, man? I mean, you got a movie coming out. I can't even fathom how that feels.
Yeah, crazy, man. I'm just so glad to be here. Marvin, thank you so much for having me and for sharing me with your audience and for trusting me in front of your people. So we're really honored, man. We're excited to share a little bit of the story and hopefully pour value into your people.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. You know, we've been doing a lot of stuff lately. My wife Nikki and I have been traveling, doing a lot of conferences and shows, and I'm speaking on social media and how guys can use it and girls can use it. She's talking about some along the same things of how to organize yourself in the construction business. And one thing that I talk about a lot is I have an 80-20 rule where I post about 80% my organic content, which is just me, my life, what I'm going through, all those things. And about 20% about what we're doing professionally, some skills, some things I learned, where we're going to be, how you can take part in what we do. And one thing that has been absolutely, I think, important for what we post is I'm pretty authentic, man. Like I don't leave too much behind closed doors. I want, when you see me in public, for you to be like, that's how Marvin is. And if you want to be able to ask me something, you can, because I already spoke about it. And when I reached out and was like, hey, you know, can we have you on the podcast? And then you show up today, like, dude, I'm an open book. So I would love to jump into, man, kind of like your life journey, if you wouldn't mind. I'd love for you to take us back and tell us kind of about your family, how you grew up. You said you want to talk about Crouzon Syndrome and wrestling and adversity. So take us back and tell us about how this journey, the story of your life kind of got started, if you would.
Yeah, for sure. So my mom and dad when I came out of my mom, basically the doctors would say, you better save your money, Mr. and Mrs. Kjar, but he's going to need some financial help, not just physically for all the surgeries I would go through, but mentally and emotionally. They would then tell my parents to get ready because the staples in my head and wired my mouth shut and all the surgeries that would take to fix my face would heal. But the things that potentially wouldn't heal would be the emotions and the trauma and all that type of stuff. And so right off the get-go, I started looking in the mirror and wondering how I was really going to treat myself, because I knew some of the other people in public wouldn't be treating me the way that I knew myself, right? And so I see kids, I speak to all different groups from corporations down to elementaries. I see people, not just kids, I see people nowadays that have the same issue and they never had a facial difference. They look in the mirror and they're wondering how they're going to treat themselves.
That's a good point.
And at a young age, brother, I got annihilated in a grocery store by an adult. He looked at me. I was finally second in line, and he grabbed his two kids, his little boy and his little girl, and he points at me. He's like, "Hey, don't go near him. Don't touch him because he's probably contagious.
Oh,
Let's go." And he put his kids behind him like he's getting away from a monster.
right.
And in that moment, I just ran home. And I ran in a bathroom off my dad's office, and my mom came in when I was trying to figure out a way to take my face off.
Oh, man.
I was literally in an elementary mindset, innocent mindset, had just got annihilated and tried to figure out a way in a simple mind. If I just get rid of what he was making fun of me for, life would be better.
Yeah.
Like life would be better.
Yeah.
And luckily my mom came in, and this is what would change my life.
Yeah.
She would cry with me. And the difference that my mom would do is she wouldn't coddle me. Marvin, she wouldn't coddle me. She would cuddle with me.
I got you.
And there's a difference there in the sense that too much of the world is coddling our victim behavior.
That's true.
And so my mom picked me up, and instead of saying, "Never get up, never leave this bathroom, I'm going to wrap you in bubble wrap, cover your face like it's COVID," right?
Yeah.
Never do this. Again, people will make fun of you. Let's stay away from that. Instead, she put me up in front of the mirror. She's like, "What do you see?" And I was too short. I'm like, "I can't see anything." I'm like, "I can't see anything. What is?" She's like, I'll tell you what I can see.
Whether you're measuring an area for seal coating or for paving, it's very important to get that area exactly right so that you know your job costing. It's also important so that when you deliver that square footage to your client, you seem like you're a cut above because you know the exact square footage that their area is. Now, you can do this exactly with the Moser 2 Pro. They're making it easier than ever. I've been using this as of late. It's really neat. It's digital. It's on your phone. You can use the app, and it actually shows you like an elevation change in 3D rendering as well. And it captures those dimensions and calculates them instantly. So you have them right there on your phone. You can take the data and put that right onto your quote and send that over to your clients. So there's no more manual notes. The accuracy is incredibly improved. Moser 2 Pro is saving me time and enhancing my workflow because of this. If you're looking to upgrade your measuring process, visit Moser.com and use promo code X8Marvin or check the description for the link.
Have you ever seen Cool Runnings?
Yeah.
You remember how they'd get in the fight in the bar, and then he brings him in the bathroom. He's like, "What do you see?"
Yep.
And then he says what he sees. And my mom did that.
Okay.
She's like, "Ben, let me tell you what I see." I'm like, "Okay, tell me what you see." And she says, "I see someone who's different." And I'm like, "Oh God, that's like the best thing you got."
Yeah.
Like, come on, I hear that all the time. She's like, "Ben, I see someone who's different, who gets to make a difference."
Man,
And that would change me.
what a wherewithal of your mom to know. That gets me emotional thinking about it. I didn't have a mom, honestly. My grandma raised me up a little bit and for a little while, but I have a son, and you and I talked about him a little bit, or I talked about him because I can't stop talking about him a little bit before we got on the podcast. We have some differences. You know, I grew up in school was, some prejudice words thrown around. I'm obviously a little caramel colored, and I went through a lot of the same thing. How do I change my last name? How do I change how I look? And I tried for a long time to be something I'm not. And it wasn't until like I embraced who I was and actually went on that path that my life actually started. And I didn't learn that till like my late 20s, man. And I got my son Eli, right? And I think about me knowing that this world's full of adversity. I was fortunate to have him at a time when I got around a really good group of friends that kind of have the same mindset as you and I. So I started telling him things that I was hearing. Obviously, he's a lot different when he's around people that are his age because of what you just talked about, the coddling versus cuddling. It wasn't like, "Hey, the world's not going to be tough, kid. It's okay." But I was like, "Hey, the world's tough. I'm with you. But we got to tackle this thing together. Like, we're going to have to get tough. We got to figure out how to overcome challenges. We're going to get knocked on our butt." And we did together. We got knocked on our butt. And then I looked at him and said, "Hey, I got you if you got me. Let's keep going. Let's figure out how to make this happen through tough situations." And not a lot of people have that. I think about your mom, dude, and just her to have that understanding of saying the right thing. Were you the first child born? Were you the only child born?
I'm one of 7. I'm right in the middle. So there had been 3 kids that had come all healthy, and the rest of them all came healthy out the womb.
Yeah.
Physically.
Sure.
Now, there's a whole nother level of what it takes to be healthy mentally.
Absolutely.
And the world doesn't understand that we always go to the gym, right? In wrestling and jiu-jitsu, we go and we put in the reps, whether it's technique or plyometrics, calisthenics, whatever. But how often do we put our mind through a gym? There's a great book called that, Mind Gym. And there's another great book, Chop Wood, Carry Water, or something like that.
That's right.
Carry Water, something like that. But it's fantastic. And it's all about this. It's all about the mindset. It's all about repetitions. How often do we go to the gym and we're like, 16, 17, 18. But then we never remember when we did our last emotional repetition.
Yeah.
I mean, your boy Eli and his comrades and teammates, you'll see it.
Yeah.
They will rise and they will fall on their mentality. I remember I got to the point that after I learned that from my mom, I look in the mirror. And instead of wishing to be Tommy and Marvin and Billy version 2.0, I owned me, dude. I flexed me. That little Crouzon Syndrome boy, he was like, had the most swagger, bro. I was shooting not just to beat kids in wrestling. I was shooting to steal girlfriends in wrestling, dude. We would joke that we're like, how many girlfriends am I going home with today, baby?
Yeah.
And I tell you what, it got to the point that when I would go and weigh in, like your boy weighed in today, right? Imagine this mentality of your boy. Imagine your boy steps on the scale and he's so confident that he's looking around the weight room or the weigh-in, and he's like, who's taking second today?
Yeah.
Why? For 2 things, and this is how you get it. Number 1, you look in the mirror and you speak so highly of that person as if they're your role model. You pour into that person. You admire that person that's looking back at you instead of showing a feeling of disgust. Or, why don't you? You're less than. And then number 2, I call it being disobedient to average or disobey average. Well, if your coach comes in the room and he's like, hey, come on, let's go, 20 push-ups, drop down, give me 20. Everybody's going to do what? Hit probably 18, 19 and wonder if they should hit 20. The majority will probably hit 20 and then they'll jump up.
Mm-hmm.
When we disobey average and we don't choose to be normal, like I used to do, I used to beg and pray to God, if you could just wake me up tomorrow morning. If you could just wake me up tomorrow morning. I got the faith of a mustard seed. Trust me, God, I know you can do this. Give me a normal face. Mm-hmm. Don't wake me up until I got a normal face. I would beg, just let me fit in. Let me be normal. I just want to be average. I just want to be an average human. I don't want to stand out. But when I understood that my mom told me, Ben, everyone in this world will do crazy things just to get attention. You don't have to do that so hard.
Yeah.
People naturally are going to look at you. She's like, and when that attention comes, I'm going to tell you to shine. Step out from behind that bushel, like it says in the Bible, and shine your light. And so what I would do is I would choose not to be average. So I would jump down. Instead of doing 20 push-ups, bro, I'd hit 27 on a good day, maybe over 30.
Yeah.
And I would always do more. And because I was confident, because I outworked everybody physically, and I put the repetitions in mentally, and I spoke to myself in the mirror, I put these sayings down that says, now I choose me. I make a difference. I fight for light. I ignite extraordinary. Now watch me defy the odds. I am a victor. I choose this. I was born to stand out. I choose to stand out, stand out. And these things come to me naturally because I had to work on them.
Yeah.
But these things have been able to change my mindset, my life, in order to help me help others too.
Dude, what I think about your mom, dude. When you keep talking about your mom, I just think about the understanding that she has, I would really like, it makes me want to know kind of what your mom's story was, bro, because for her to have an understanding of how the world works, how people are, how the world is going to work, and then to be able to be prepped, divinely prepped, to be able to have a child that has Crouzon syndrome that she is going to have to guide and figure out the world with. It's incredible because I think there's a switch that happens in some people's brains where they are able to take negatives and find what's positive in there. And most of the time, the world is looking at it as a negative, and their mindset switches to, hey, this is a positive. Here's what's positive, and we're going to use that as leverage. And it takes two things. Either you have somebody like myself or yourself in your life when you're young and they show you that, or life gives you one of these. And rather than get beaten down and figuring out the woe is me part of it, you figure out, hey, this can be good. I'm going to have to come above this. This is how I can find what's good in it and make what needs to happen. I want to ask you real quick if you can tell us before we get too far into the conversation about Crouzon syndrome. What is it? Between Wiscoat, podcasting, writing, speaking, and family, I'm busy. As you can imagine, it's a lot to juggle. How do I do it? I stay organized. Jobber's been my secret weapon at my asphalt business, which takes up most of my time, but is also the force that allows me to do everything else in my schedule. That's why it's essential that Wiscoat runs fluidly and smooth. After making the switch to Jobber a few years ago, I simply wish I would have done it sooner. The process from when a client reaches out to when we complete a project for that customer has never been easier for us. From quoting, invoicing, scheduling, tracking hours, and even marketing, Jobber's made it all happen in one place in a way that everybody on our team can understand. If you're interested in a free 14-day trial of Jobber and an exclusive discount code for In the Mix listeners, check out the show description to find the link to try Jobber today.
Crouzon syndrome is a facial difference that when I'm born, they said I would have to have numerous reconstructive facial surgeries because especially the mid part of my face and other parts of my skull wouldn't grow at the same speed.
Okay.
So because of maturity and different levels of your life, they would have to take the skull, cut my head open from ear to ear, put a trach in my throat, take bones out of my hips and put them in my face, and then wire my mouth shut just so it would hopefully hold. And then they would do that to all when I was younger to allow space for my brain too. Otherwise, I'd have some brain damage if I couldn't expand my skull. So it would affect a lot of what I looked like. It would affect a lot of what doctors would tell me. Like they said, hey, you're not going to be able to wrestle. Are you kidding me? And so in high school, I would push back my surgery for those reasons.
Oh yeah.
Every maturity level in life, I was supposed to have a surgery. So I had one when I was one when I was 5. And if you can imagine how your face changes so much, I was supposed to have another one when I was like 12 or 13. But because I was so confident in who I was, it didn't matter what I looked like. Dude, I couldn't sleep very well. I would put a finger in my mouth, bite down, and I couldn't touch my finger. I had such an underbite.
Okay.
But I want to say this because I teach people throughout the world this thing. I believe I'm one of the best in the world at teaching people confidence and how to gain and achieve your goals 95% of the time. And I learned it in junior high and high school, and this is what I learned. And I've broken it down to 3 things. I've studied the science behind how to achieve goals, and it comes down literally to simply 3 things. Number 1, call your shot. So in high school, I'll give you an example from high school, and this is why I pushed my surgery back. Dude, I called my shot. And what does that mean? It means you have to state openly, bluntly, clearly what your goal is. And so I did. Dude, and you can't be like shy about it. I had a Letterman's jacket. You know what a Letterman's jacket is?
Uh-huh.
My parents gave it to me, and my goal was to be a 3-time state champion, 3XSC. Bro, I put it on my Letterman's jacket. Embroidered it.
Before.
Dude, I had only won state one time.
Right.
And my parents were like, what are you doing? They're like, are you sure about this? I'm like, are you not sure about this?
Yeah.
And
You gave
so,
me this
bro,
confidence. Yeah, you gave me
I'm
this
like,
confidence. Don't
yeah,
stop now.
I'm like, you putting the fuel in the tank. Let me drive,
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah.
And so, dude, that was the first thing. Number one, call your shot. Number two, get shot callers in your corner. What does that mean? Get people who will hold you accountable. And this is pivotal. And this is what I told my parents. I'm like, I just call my shot. Now I need you to help me call my shot when I don't have good days.
Sure.
When my coach tells me to do 20, I need to make sure that when I only do 20, you're like, hey, bud, you can't be a 3-time state champion if you're doing 20.
Sure.
If you're obeying average, you can't do above average stuff. But the best shot callers, the best people in your corner, the best ones that hold you accountable are the ones that don't call you out for doing 20. The ones that are the best ones to have in your corner are the ones who do more and expect you to do more with them.
I got you.
And then lastly, you got to have a shot clock. Marvin, dude, I have told this to companies and businesses and professional teams all over the country. And it is so interesting to see when you change the shot clock, when you change the expiration date of your goal, it changes what you have to do today. Let me give you an example.
Okay.
Bro, if you and I make a goal to run a marathon in 5 years,
Yep.
I maybe have to roll out of bed today.
Yes, that's true.
As opposed to, we need to run a marathon in 5 weeks.
Then I'm going to get my ass out of bed now.
Yep. And you're going to have a trajectory of what that looks like. And so what we're seeing is with the success path of how to call your shot, dude, I'm getting high school kids like Eli saying, I'm going to be a 2XSC. I'm going to be a state champ. I'm going to go to state. I'm like, great. That's cute. When?
Yeah, when?
Are you going to do it when you're 24? Are you going to do it when you're 74? Are you going to do it this year? And if so, you ain't missing weight, number one.
Truth.
Number two, practice doesn't start at 3, even though that's when coach shows up. Practice for you starts at 2:30. So that when people come in, you're already on your second t-shirt because the first one's soaked through with sweat. And then when people leave at 5, guess what? That's a good break. Take your 5 minutes. We're back for another half hour.
Yeah.
Because then when you get on the scale, before you even put your shoes on, you already have confidence that you've outworked everybody. And when that happens, it doesn't matter, man. You're hard to beat.
Yeah. Yeah. It reminds me of a conversation I had earlier this week. I was fortunate enough to have Scott Holtzman from the UFC on. And I asked him, I'm like, dude, what do you miss the most from, being out of the game? And he was like, I miss being around my guys. He's like, and I mean, my buddies. He's like, because I know what I achieved was because I was in that group. Right. And his training partner, Scott had a great career in UFC, almost a decade. And I was like, and he specifically named Benson Henderson. He was like, he'd be like, hey, we're going to go an hour. He's like, and after an hour, I was done of all out, like for sure going for an hour. He's like, and then Ben was like, cool, I'm going 2 hours. Like literally Ben would be like, whatever. And you all are doing, I'm doing more. And there's a lot to be said about that. I mean, Ben had the belt, went for the belt quite a few times, is a legend in the game. And it just, there's something to be said about people who have the mentality of, I'm going to do more. I'm going to do more because I want more. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And Eli and I talk about this same thing a lot. I wish he was right here listening to you talk about it, because we preach this a lot. And I'll give you a quick story about him. We moved from Wisconsin to Nashville this year. And I kind of talked to you a little bit about Wisconsin, and he trained with some really cool guys, some really elite stuff. Got to have some really cool conversations with like Ben Askren and those guys. And he came here and he was above because he had worked his tail off in Wisconsin, and then he come here. Not to take nothing away from what's going on here, but it's not as a lifestyle as it is in Southwest corner Wisconsin. And pretty soon, I watched him start to plane back down, and he was like, "They're catching me." I was like, "I don't think they're catching you." I said, "I think you're sitting still." I said, that's the problem. I said, "It's not that they're figuring anything out." I said, "I think you're sitting still." And from then on, I watched him kind of get in gear for the most part. Thanksgiving last week did him some damage, but I watched him get in gear for the most part. And when he first got here, he went to his coach now, Coach Karan, and the coach was like, what weight did you wrestle or whatever? And I said, "Oh, I wrestled whatever it was." And he's like, "Well, what's your goal now?" And I said, "Oh, to win state." And he's like, "No, I meant like your weight. Like, what weight do you want to wrestle at?" I was like, "Oh, I thought you meant like for this year." He's like, "My goal this year is to win state." So it's funny to hear you say that, and it gives me confidence, anyways. Not that I need my head to get any bigger; it's already big enough that the hair came out. I think that it's a sign of there's just something. I told you I didn't wrestle. People who take wrestling seriously in their high school, college career, whatever, they learn things, Ben, that that not a lot of people ever learn in their lives about themselves and what they're capable of. The sport itself, I think, is just there's something to be said for it. So there's this identity, I think, that gets grown through discipline. Can you talk a little bit about wrestling? Because when we talk about your wrestling, you're like, "Hey, I put 3-time state champ on there." You mentioned to us that you won one already, but from what my stats and what things we collected, my team collected beforehand, there's a 5-time on there. There's D1 All American at Utah Valley, and then the freestyle All American. So obviously, doing the extra reps and being there and having 2 shirts because your first one was so wet paid off from sweat. Tell us a little bit about that, man, about the career in wrestling and just what it does, because I got a feeling you have a love for it that probably will never ever fade out. So I was recently on my way back down to Tennessee, and I was going through Indiana doing some heavy highway construction there, and I seen them paving at night, and they had these lights on the back of the paver that illuminated the whole area. You could see the skid steers, you could see the dump trucks, you could see everything. And these big balloon lights on the back came from Portable Lighting Solutions. So PLS is the only balloon light manufacturer offering a replaceable screw-in LED bulb that is field serviceable in minutes. They have a patented slide-in assembly, and they have a push to rapidly deploy mechanism. So you just push down on the light and the light pops up and is illuminated. You push back down, it shuts off. And they're manufactured here in the USA. There's no patch kits needed. There's not a blower motor. There's no set screws, and they're UL certified. So if you're interested in putting one of these on your paver, I think I'm going to put one on the paver that we just got, and probably on our seal coat unit too, so that we can seal coat at night. You can hop over to portablelightingsolutions.net and put an order in and find yours today. They are ARA members, APWA members, and Women of Asphalt members as well. Once again, that's portablelightingsolutions.net.
Yeah, I think you have love for things that change you, and things that change you aren't soft. Things that change you aren't things that are easy. And so, yeah, if it doesn't test you, you're not getting changed. But the reason why wrestling was so special to me, because, dude, I didn't just do wrestling. I did football, baseball, basketball, soccer, you name it. I did it, from dancing to singing to everything, playing instruments in the band and orchestra. But my parents did that just so I would find some confidence in something. They were just praying that something would hit. They're just like, I don't care if he clogs or does ballet. I just want him to gain confidence.
Find what he's good at, and we're gonna make him.
Yeah, and so as a parent, that's not our calling, right?
Right.
And my dad wrestled a little bit growing up, but I chose wrestling for a couple of reasons. Number one, because I could control a lot of the outcome. What do I mean by that? I couldn't control Crouzon Syndrome.
True. Yeah.
And I hated when in football I was a receiver, the quarterback would fumble the ball. I'm like, come on, I just ran my route perfect.
Yeah.
Like, there's no credit.
Yeah.
There's no, I mean, and so I could do 20 push-ups when my coach asked me to do 10, but it wouldn't matter. The quarterback would still fumble the football.
True.
I love wrestling because it was like life. Nobody's going to come and get you out of bed. Your lineman, your fullback, Your linebacker's not going to come and get you out of bed. It's you, buddy.
Yeah.
Nobody can make weight for you. Nobody can win you the gold medal to be on top of the podium. Nobody can do push-ups for you. And wrestling also has weight categories. And dude, I'm 5'3", 140 pounds, not the biggest guy. So it allowed me a fair shake at a man versus man, who put in the most work, and then secondly, who is hardest to kill.
Yep.
You don't have to be the best. As a matter of fact, you don't have to be the smartest, the strongest, the quickest. You just have to be really hard to kill. As a matter of fact, I love wrestling because people always ask, dude, who's the toughest guys you've ever wrestled? I've wrestled some bad dudes, like Henry Cejudo. I wrestled him a few times, Olympic champion, couple-time UFC belt holder.
Yep.
Anthony Robles, he had a movie come out about him. He's in my movie as well. I mean, I've wrestled some bad dudes, world champions, Olympic champions. But I always hated when there was this one guy in college in my bracket from Wyoming. His name was Michael Martinez. As a matter of fact, he never was an All-American. Round of 12 a couple of times, but this is why I hated to wrestle him. He was really hard to kill, dude.
Well, what was it? He just was relentless?
Bro, relentless. He trained under the Brands brothers for a while, the Olympic Training Center. He was probably there when Cejudo was there. And, dude, he wouldn't stop. Again, it wasn't the fastest, wasn't the strongest, wasn't the most technical. But, dude, he just freaking kept going. And I will always have respect for Michael Martinez because of that. Yeah. Because he made me better. When I would see his name on the bracket on my side, I'd be like, oh, man. And I knew I could beat him because I beat him more times than he beat me. But I was like, oh, this is going to be a fight.
Hard.
And this is what would change me. When my coaches came to me, and we always hear this stuff. I'm going to give you 2 gold nuggets, guys. Listen to this. In wrestling, we always hear 2 things, and it bothers me. Why? Because I have a mentality that's a military mindset. What do I mean by that? When someone tells me to do something, I take it very black and very white.
Mm-hmm.
So when my coach would be in the corner, and they would say, hey, never give up. Never give up. Well, that's like impossible. Like literally, I'd take it black and white. I have to sleep. I got to eat. I got to rest sometime. So I changed that. I made it something that was absolutely like achievable for me. And what did that mean? I thought in wrestling, this is a 2-man sport or a 2-woman sport, whatever, 2-person sport. I just need to be willing to give up second. And when I made it achievable like that, it became way more possible. So I would see the look in my guy's eyes on the other side, and I would see he was starting to get tired, and I would push the pressure, knowing that if he would spin twice, I would just have to spin one more time. That's it. And a lot of times, I mean, we overdo it. I'll give you even a deeper technical version of this. We make success too complicated. In jiu-jitsu and wrestling, if the guy spins twice, you really don't even have to spin 3 times. You just have to spin last. And really, it's twice. Mm-hmm. He spins once, I spin once. He spins twice, I spin twice. Mm-hmm. And if he doesn't spin again, I win because I was willing to give up second. And lastly, this is something that changed my life. My coach, because I hate losing. I hate losing. As a matter of fact, one of my sports psychologists was a guy named Keith Henshin. And the first meeting he had with me is like, dude, tell me, do you like winning or do you love winning or do you hate losing? What you can only choose one. I said, I don't know what you want me to tell you, but I've won a world championship. I've won 5 national titles. I've won All-America status, multiple 3-time state champion. I said, guess what, Keith? I said, I don't know if I know where my trophies are. I don't know where my gold medal. I don't know where my Masters World Champion ring is. I said, the winning isn't like, yeah, it's nice to win, but I said, I hate losing. I hate losing. And he says, that's interesting. He's like, Ben, I've been the personal private sports psychologist for the Utah Jazz basketball team for decades. He's like, and I've talked with the entire team hundreds of times. Out of all my time, there's two people that hate losing more than anyone I know. He's like, who do you think they are? And for me, dude, my two favorite Hall of Famers were John Stockton, Karl Malone.
Yeah.
Yep, the mailman. And he said, yep. He's like, it is such a gift to hate losing. He's like, but it'll be such a curse for you if you allow that to have you have a fear of failure and the fear of not being enough, which are the two biggest fears of mankind. So here's why I say that. Eli, Bobby, his buddies, us, our parents, our grandparents, we all have a fear of failure.
Sure.
But when we allow it to play too much in our lives, it suffocates us. It's not a gift anymore. So I changed my mentality to this. It wasn't that I have to win. It was literally this. Ben, be hard to kill. And number two, you make sure, Ben, win, lose, or draw, that person on the other side of that mat never wants to wrestle you again. And that's how it was for Michael Martinez, man. I beat him. He beat me too, but I beat him definitely more times than he beat me, but he beat me. And dude, he was never Olympic champion, never All-American. I hated wrestling him because he was so hard to kill. And I think there's a lot of value that would change my life when I understood that.
Even before I had a discount code partnership with Brunt Workwear, which you can find in the description of this podcast, I was wearing their boots when patching or paving and their shirts and hats when I was out on date night with Nikki. I'm actually wearing one right now. Seriously though, half my closet is Brunt Workwear at this point. I have 3 sets of boots, 2 Marins, and a pair of the Omans, as well as a green Chevlin hoodie that I love. It's got a snake on it. It actually has a pocket where it keeps my cell phone there in the front. I love that about it. And it took the place of my winter jacket last season. To check out their full line, go to bruntworkwear.com and use code MJoles10 to save $10 off your first order of $60 or more. I'm in a few contractor groups, right? I told you I own my own business in Wisconsin and obviously own this business and multiple businesses. And there's a lot of parallels where we talk about that, where, there's like stats all over the internet. Like if small businesses don't make it through the first 2 years, they ain't going to make it. If they make it through the first 5 years, there's a chance they're going to make it. And then there's guys that I know that are in my contractor group, like my mastermind, my group of guys that we have. And a lot of it is that same thing where they're just like, I just want to be such a thorn in the side of the guys that are here that they think I should just do a different business. Like there's no way. And I think probably in my business there in Wisconsin, it got to be that way where it was just like, I will literally eat off the dollar menu and live in a cardboard box if it means I'm going to make it another year for another shot at outlasting whoever the competition is when it comes to business. Right. So I know you speak at different events and to different groups and whatnot. Tell us a little bit about that, because I also get to speak. I'm fortunate to speak at some things, and it's a unique feeling for me because I think I've done the asphalt business for so long and I've done the media and social media for so long but probably the same thing. I probably just outlasted, right? And then I'm constantly challenging myself, like on our whiteboard here, I'll write down our views, our subscribers, what we do. And then I set a goal for the end of the year. We'll reset a 6-month marker. So maybe it's part of that. I'm calling my shot, like you said, right? What I need to do. But there's a lot of parallels between what you are speaking about here on the podcast and business. So tell us a little bit about that, what you see in parallels between business and places that you speak and people that you speak to.
Dude, I appreciate you asking that. The world is run by small business owners. That's how we survive in this world, right? And so I appreciate you for running all your companies and allowing people opportunities. I have the opportunity to speak with tons of companies, huge companies, little companies, in between companies, and I love it. I had a mentor one time told me this. We were on a podcast together, and he was coming out after I came on, and then there was about 5 minutes where we were together for Q&A, and then he came on, and he's really successful. And I had a few moments after I said, hey, I'm trying to break into the corporate game of speaking, where there's a lot higher money to be paid on the corporate side. Mm-hmm. It's where you can make like a real career out of it, right?
True.
And I said, you just heard my segment. What are your thoughts? And he said this. He's like, Ben, bro, you got a story. And it is so inspirational. Can I give you feedback? I'm like, I'm all ears. Let's go. He said, inspiration is one thing, but you have to move the needle. And I thought about that, and to me it resonated, because in wrestling, it's like being a tough wrestler. It's like being hard to kill. Mm-hmm. That's only a part of it. If you're hard to kill and you're tough, but then you're technical on top of that, and you know moves, oh, bro, you're like a world beater.
Yeah.
You're dangerous. I wasn't always dangerous in speaking. I'd been in elementaries and junior highs, and I've spoken to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of those. And I learned inspiration. I learned to tell a story, which is great. But sometimes inspiration ends up being motivating, and motivation is very fleeting. Mm-hmm. You feel really good, and in the moment you're like, yeah, let's go. Yep. But then if nothing sticks and you don't move the needle and you don't have stay power, what are you going to change? Well, I'm not saying I don't like motivation. I'm saying, how about you put some science behind it?
Yeah.
How about you put some tactical stay power, like emphasis on how people do it? And that's what I came up with, call your shot. And I saw, and it can't be something that's not natural.
Right.
You can't be talking about marathons if you're sitting on the couch and you're way overweight and you feel like you feel inspired because
I'm not going to dunk like Karl Malone. It's not possible for me to do it, right?
So. Right. So we're not going to go talk and teach about dunking.
Yeah.
Right? I'm a 5'3" white boy, and I'm not trained to be able to touch the bottom of the net.
Yeah, same.
And so, yeah. So we get to think a few things, and this is what would change me. After I heard that, I went back into some of my favorite books, and I read the book again, Good to Great.
Yeah, good one.
Yeah, really good one. And some things hit me different. I'd read it before, but just like the scriptures, same thing. You read the good book, you read it in a certain season of life, and then you read it in another season of life. You'll read the same verse, but it's going to mean two different things.
That's one of the best points. That's one of the best reasons to go ahead and just start over and keep reading, to be honest with you. Like years go by, you read it again, and you're like, oh, that's what that meant. It made me do something completely different the first time, and now I get what it really meant. It's funny how it works.
Yeah, God inspires us. He touches us in different perspectives. And so in my perspective in this book that I'd read before, it hit me different because of where I was at. And it said 3 things that I've chosen to implement. And since implementing it, Mark, like it's changed the way I perform and present on stage. I read this. Find something you're passionate about. But a lot of people say, well, make your job your passion. Yeah, I understand. That's true. You got to be passionate, and you're really hard to kill if you're passionate. True. But number 2, this is the diaper challenge, I call it, because you better be ready to piss your pants when you hear this. it said this, and I about pissed my pants, about peed my pants when I heard it. It said, "What can you be the best in the world at?" And I'm like, "Oh, freak! I'm nothing.
Yeah,
I'm probably nothing."
Yeah, wrestling has went past that shot, went by. So then you get to this point at.
Yeah, and so when you look at a goal, and there's one more thing I'm going to mention here in the powerful things I read, but okay, I'm passionate about inspiring people. I'm passionate about getting them to have confidence and to run through walls. But what can I be the best in the world at? So that's when I started dialing into the science of success and how to achieve your goals, and how if you follow those 3 things I taught you, call your shot, get shot callers in your corner and set a time limit called the shot clock, you're 95% successful in achieving your goal. I mean, that's a freaking great percentage.
Yeah.
And then I read in Good to Great, what am I passionate about? What can I shoot to be the best in the world at? And I won't be the best in the world at the first. I'll probably suck at first, which is true. You got to start somewhere.
Yep.
But eventually, you'll be in the discussion if you keep at it. And then lastly, this was cool. If you find something that you're passionate at and shoot to be the best in the world at, you'll start to get paid handsomely enough to focus on it full time.
Mm.
Now, none of us can shoot to be the best in the world if it's not full time.
True.
And if you're not shooting to be the best in the world, you're probably not going to get paid handsomely. So I thought in my life, in the things I've gone through, I'm extremely passionate about being the world's best cheerleader for people who want to call their shot and then teach them how to do it.
That's hyper specific, man.
Dude, I freaking love it because I hadn't had that. I'd been
that's like putting the 3XSC on your sleeve, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Right. Super hyper specific.
And I'm not the one that's wearing the 3XSC anymore. I'm the one next to the person who called out their shot of 3XSC, and I'm their shot caller now.
Yeah, sick.
And I'm like, yo, let's freaking go. So get this. I'll give you a couple examples about how this has changed my life.
Sure.
I get called out to go speak to a corporation out in Texas. They rent out the Alamo. You've heard of the Alamo, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's awesome. They literally rent it out. We're having dinner at the Alamo. I spoke. Everyone called their shot. I'm sitting down there. The CEO, like, dude, people here, his clientele is like Delta Airlines, like all these big companies. He looks at me. He's like, "Ben, I called my shot." I'm like, "Sweet. What is it?" He's like, "It's taken us he said something like 10 years to get to 40 countries. In the next 3 years, we're going to get to 80 countries. I'm like, "Bro, that's exponential growth, dude." Mm-hmm. He was very clear. He has people in his corner. They were literally sitting at that table, and he set a time limit. Hmm. I called him about a month ago. I said, "Yo, what's up, man?" I said, "How's the search going? What can I do to help out?" He's like, "Ben, it's interesting you called. You called last week. We just got into 5 more countries."
Nice.
Another story that just changed my life, and this is what taught me that as I go and own me, as I go down the path of not being Bobby, Tommy, or Billy's version 2.0, but I go down my path. Seek for something I'm passionate about. Seek for something I can choose to be the best in the world at and go after it. I'll be able to do it full time and get paid for it. I was sitting there at another company I talked to, and the guy gets up after, because you asked me, "How's the speaking going?" Dude, as I've been able to hone in on this stuff, it's changed my game. This guy gets up. He's a CEO of a company. This is actually the bottle right here. It's called Mountain Ops. It's a supplement company. Oh, check this out. This is on the other side of my bottle.
Oh, heck yes.
This is a Letterman's jacket. Standout. That's a 3XSC. So it's always in front of me, dude. It's never changed. And so, dude, Trevor gets up. He's a CEO. He's like, "I am peeing my pants right now." He's like, "I'm going to call my shot, and I don't know how we're going to do this." He's like, over the last 10 years, we've donated 7.5 million meals to kids who are hungry. In the next 3 years, we will, no, he didn't say 3. He said in the next 18 months, we are going to donate 2.5 million meals, and we will have 10 million meals donated. And the lady over the organization was sitting on the side, literally probably peeing her pants. She's like, how are we going to do this?
She was like, oh.
But this is the cool thing, dude. As Eli does this, as you do this, as the construction companies do this, this is what happened. Trevor get up. He said that. He spoke to the world. People in the audience heard him call a shot. They became his shot callers without him even asking.
Yeah, they held him accountable.
Dude, not just held him accountable. If you remember, the best shot callers are the ones that just don't say, hey, do 20 push-ups, do 22. They're the ones who are doing 25 and saying, you coming with me?
Yeah.
A guy in the back of the room got up for one of the biggest dealerships in the Western U.S. I just spoke to their company, actually. He said, Trevor, count me in for the first 75,000 mils.
Wow.
And then after, the lady who was peeing her pants on the side, who was in charge of this, and she's like, it took us 10 years to get 7.5 million, and you're saying I'm going to get 2.5 million in the next 18 months? You're crazy. The guy comes down. He's like, by the way, along with that 75,000 mils, guess what? We have a 501c3 nonprofit. Every tax deduction, every donation we get is tax deductible. Do you have that? They're like, no. They're like, now you do. We're going to channel all your funds through us and give it to you 100%. I talked with Trevor the other day. I spoke with his team probably 6 months ago. They will have raised their $10 million mils by the end of this year.
Dang, man.
Brother, when we call our shot, when we put it out there, when we choose to stand out, when we get people in the corner, Marvin, dude, you get the 5 core people in your corner that really not just want to see you succeed, they're willing to go down the path. They're willing to do the 22 push-ups along with you, not the 20. And then you guys put a time limit on it. The effort, the tenacity, the focus changes, bro. Eli, when he gets his Letterman's jacket and he puts, for him, it might be 4XSD if he's a freshman, right?
Yeah.
He puts that on his jacket or something. I'm not saying he has to do that, but something, whatever resonates to him. You will see people come out of the woodwork and do one of two things. They will jump in your corner, or they'll try to take you out of your corner and knock you out.
Mm-hmm.
And just like Jesus Christ, you'll be able to feel and know who those people are.
Yeah.
Jesus knew who he was. And he had 12 shot callers.
Yeah.
He called them his 12 apostles. And guess what? Some of them decided to leave. Some of them decided to.
And he called out which ones were going to leave, too. He knew which ones were going to do what they were going to do. It's true.
Like, he had a time limit, dude. He knew exactly when he was supposed to go to the cross.
Yeah, true.
He followed it. Now, if we talk about how can we be Christ-like, how can we do these things? Well, why don't we do what he did?
Sure. Yeah. They think about achieving great things, right? And you're like, well, and being Christ-like, it's something to mimic, it's something to follow, an example to follow, which I think we talk about that a lot. We look up, what we do, Ben, today in society is we look on Instagram and see who we should follow and whose example we should lead, right? Because they're like, well, man, they're beasts. They're doing crazy things. They're doing great things. And then I imagine when you get in conversation with that person, if you had the opportunity to, they'd probably point to the same person that we've just been talking about pointing to. You know what I mean? I think society's done a good job of buffering that, but I think it takes people being unashamed, and being like, hey, this is actually where it comes from and what we do. I used to be 300 pounds, 297 to be exact. And if you're around me at asphalt or construction expos or in my circle, you remember that Marvin. I'm not him anymore. I've all but eliminated the choices that got me there in the first place. And I'm down about 100 pounds over the last few years, all from making better choices. I know it's hard in our industry to find time and that those gas station stops are way too convenient, but we in our industry aren't getting enough of what we need to live healthy and stay productive, with those choices being our constant. Besides prepping my own food, I choose foods and supplements from First Form to help me get to where I need to be, along with a regular exercise routine. You've seen my posts over the last few years about using First Form's products to get what I need into my body on the road and keeping out excess of what I don't need or want. I use at least one First Form product every day to ensure I stay on track. I've worked way too hard to let this slip. If you use the link in the episode description, you'll get free shipping on orders over $75 from First Form today. If you reach out to me personally via DM or email, I would love to tell you about what I use and my experiences using First Form's products. Man, it's been such a great conversation. I know we're rounding out in an hour here, but I want to ask you two more questions if I can. One, I want to talk about Standout, man, because I'm really excited to be able to watch it and feel everything that we felt. It had to be so surreal watching that get made and in the journey of it. I want to just ask you one question about that. What was your hardest part to relive?
It was reliving the moments that annihilated me when I was younger and in an elementary mindset, not knowing what would happen. There's some really, really special times though in the film where it's my younger version of me, and there's a kid that plays it, Crouzon Syndrome. He was 5 years old when we were filming, and his name's Colton.
Mm-hmm.
And while he's playing this reenactment, I'm in the shot in the background, and I'm watching it. And we have some really like sacred, really rad moments as I think all of us have looked back and said, man, if I could only go to my younger self and tell him, like, bro, Marvin, what if you went back when you didn't have a mom and your grandma was raising you?
I think about that. That's what I was thinking about as you were saying it.
Think about that. You went back to your younger self and you're like, Marvin, dude, I run a podcast, I run this business, I run that business, and I run this. And most importantly, I'm a good freaking dad.
Yeah.
And most importantly, I show up for people. And most importantly, Jesus is one of my best friends. And most importantly, dude, you're going to freaking kill it.
Yeah.
And I had some moments like that. And
What do you feel? There's some times, right, when stuff happens to me, and I don't know, man, I just feel like sometimes that younger version of me who you're talking about is like right there and is like, hey, you did it. Hey, we did it. You did it. Right. And I get emotional thinking about that just because maybe you're like me in this regard. I still am that kid and I'm still trying to make sure that I'm not going to go back there by doing what I do every day. Even though I know it's not possible, there's still like that is in me. It gets tough sometimes because you see parallels, like you were talking with that young man that plays your younger version of you in the movie. I see that in real life with young kids, whether they're on Eli's wrestling team or whether they go to school with them or whether I find them other places. And it's like, I know it wouldn't have taken very much to really motivate me and push me to where I didn't have to do this on my own and come into my own in my late 20s. Like I could have had somebody just been like, hey man, I got the same thing. This is what it takes. This is what we'll do. I got you. I'm with you. And I never really had that. And it's an emotional thing. It's an emotional thing to see and know. That's true. All right, one more thing. What is one exercise that listeners or watchers of the podcast can do to kind of step out of comfort and figure out, hey, what is my shot? How do I call it?
That's such a good question. Would you say that your listeners are mostly adults and maybe parents?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, when you were talking about shot callers and people that are just like high achievers, I was thinking of my buddy Jerry Sebi. He owns Asphalt Authority in Indiana. When I talk to him, I'm that girl that was across the table from the other guy. When he says stuff, I'm like, what are you talking about? How are you even going to do this? but he's 1000% believes in himself. And every time he says it, and I then look at him and be like, dude, I have to believe you. You're so talented. I have to believe you. If I don't, I feel dumb. You know what I mean? I feel dumb if I even question him. So yeah, they're definitely adults. They're definitely, a lot of them are business owners. A lot of people are in high upper management too within the asphalt industry, manufacturers, suppliers, that type of stuff. But also, most of us, if not 95% of us, are parents. Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, I'm going to say this then. And I'm going to tell you something that did the same for me. So I'm not going to tell you something that I think sounds good. I'm going to tell you something that changed my life.
Cool.
I got to be a parent, and this is sad that this is what happens more often than not. So I get done with my college career. 10 years later, I'm sitting in a conference, just trying to get better, trying to figure out a way to inspire myself. I'm in Florida at an event called ClickFunnels Live, or Funnel Hacking Live, by a guy named Russell Brunson.
Mm-hmm.
He's a buddy of mine. We grew up in the same wrestling club. So a guy gets up on Saturday, the last day, and he's one of the keynote speakers. And the guy's name is Ed Milet.
Yeah, but Eli and I both were pretty fortunate. Got to see Ed Milet speak and meet him once in a while.
Yeah, cool. Rad dude.
Dude, totally.
So he gets up, and he would say something that would change my life. He literally said this: one of the most insidious forms of child neglect is parents not living their dreams or achieving their potential. Marvin, dude, what I heard when he said that was, Ben, your 3 kids that you have, which were at that age, were 3 years old, 3, and 2. You are training them and teaching them child abuse if you are not living your dreams. And that's the form of child abuse we don't talk about.
Yeah.
Because they will never know better.
Yeah.
If you're living at like 70% potential, they will think that is 100%. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying. I had a friend call me out recently. I don't like. I have a imposter syndrome. Bad, dude. I still do. It's hard.
Everybody does, bro.
It's hard for me to fight it, and I don't like saying things and name dropping and stuff because I feel like people treat me like I did when I was a kid. Because I used to say things like, "Dude, I'm going to be in the NFL. I'm going to be." Dude, when Emmitt Smith retires, I'm taking his spot. And I can remember being a kid and people being like, "Shut up! That's the dumbest thing I ever heard." And I did shut up, and I believed that for 20 years probably. So it's hard for me to say this, but I'm going to round it out here. And this is a crazy sentence for me to say. Eli and I were at First Form here probably a month ago, and Ed's good friend Andy Frisella, who I would say is an acquaintance of mine. I can't text him, but I know that if I go there, I can go to his office and talk to him. But he called me out on that, man. Eli's shredded, dude. He's built. And he's like, he didn't mean anything by it. He didn't mean it mean. But he looked at me and he's like, what do you think how does that make you feel to know that came from you? And I was like, well, awesome, first of all. But then second of all, I did some self-reflection. I was like, I'm too soft. Like I'm too soft. It was somebody holding me accountable. And I know Eli would do the reps with me, right? So it makes me think about that in that capacity. Honestly, truthfully, it does. I'm doing him a disservice. And so not all areas, right? Like I told you, sometimes he's like, dude, my dad's killing it over here. But then there's other areas where I'm not. And there's not really an excuse for it. I can make an excuse. I totally can. I can come up with any excuse at any moment for anything that I'm not doing. I'm a human. I know I can do that. What I can't do, what I have trouble doing is like you were talking about, admitting it, looking in the mirror and just admitting it. Like, I know I don't have to do a whole lot. I could change the way I eat, change what I drink, and I could dedicate a half an hour. I could get up earlier, stay an hour later. We've been watching Stranger Things that come out. I'm like, oh, let's binge watch that on Netflix. I could have took a half an hour of each one. I still could have watched it all and took a half an hour and run my ass off. So it makes me think about that. That was a really good thing to point out, Ben, to be honest with you.
Dude, I'm telling you, you asked me what what changes things, and it's changing the reflection of what we're teaching our kids.
Yeah.
And what inspired me and hit me in the gut, like you had mentioned, that Andy told you, we had went through the first wrestling season. I was in the corner yelling at my boys, half Nelson, double it. Come on, just do it.
Half Nelson, run it.
Yeah, dude. And we go home, we get in the car, go home, and kids are frustrated. They're like, Dad, what do you know about wrestling? Like, shut your mouth. You don't know anything. You don't know what it's like.
Yeah.
And they were 100% right. Why? Because I had never wrestled while they were alive. This guy right here had been training child abuse emotionally. And that's when I decided right then and there I committed to jump back into the sport. I went to nationals. My kids watched me. They coached me in the corner. And then I flew them out to Greece with me where we won a world title. And they watched their dad. They didn't hear their dad. They didn't hear their dad yelling. They didn't do that. They watched him.
Yeah.
Last thing I'll say here on this point. My wife gets up, goes down to my boy now, who's my youngest is 5, and now I have 6 and 6. She goes to get my youngest boy Kempton, and she noticed he's 5 years old. And his bed is immaculate, tucked in. She says, honey, what made you make your bed? And he looks up with the most innocent eyes and the most honest response. Mom, I do it because I see you do it.
Wow, man.
Our kids will always hear what we say, and they will sometimes listen, but they will always take note and watch what we do. And so truly, if you want to get out of comfort, if you want to push yourself, if you want to call your shot, if you want to put the 3XSC on your jacket, if you want to stand out and not fit in, find something you're passionate about, find something that you can shoot to be the best in the world at, and then go after it. And you know what? That may be too much. You may not be the best in the world at a half marathon, but go show your kids. So I spoke, and it was cool because this is what the impact it makes. I spoke, this guy came up and he was bawling, a grown man. He's like, Ben, when you spoke, I thought of one thing. Shame on me, because when was the last time I gave my kids something to cheer their dad on for? And so if we haven't given our kids the opportunity to hold pom-poms, if we haven't given our kids the opportunity to sit in our corner and cheer us on, if we haven't given our kids the opportunity to be like, go freaking dad.
Yeah.
Good for you. If we haven't given our kids the opportunity to hold posters that say, I'm here for you, we're cheering you on, shame on us, you know?
Yeah. And here's the thing, it's not too late. I've seen a guy 80 years old run a 100-miler with Cam Hanes. It's not too late. I don't, unless you're in the grave, I don't think it's too late. I mean, there's people that are confined to chairs that are some of the best writers and most brilliant minds, right? There's one business owner I know named Aiden. He's confined to a wheelchair, and I'm not sure what he has and whatnot, but he can't do very much at all with his arms or legs or whatever. That guy runs one of the most badass lawn care and landscape businesses that I've ever seen. And I'm like, dude, what is my excuse? And that's how I felt when Andy said that. It was he didn't mean to, but I was embarrassed just to myself. And I'm like, dude, that's completely right. And a good friend does call you out on that. Your what shot callers that you surround yourself with, right? Tell us about Standout, man. When does it come out? Where can we see it?
Dude, ever since January 2025 this year, we started in our film festival tour. We started in Hollywood and we went all over the country. We just barely finished at the San Diego Film Festival. It hits theaters January 23rd, 2026. So it's easy to remember 1, 2, 3.
Oh, sick.
So 1, 2, 3 of 2026. That's what we're doing. The biggest feat for us is getting the marketing budget to put it in every market. We only have a marketing budget right now to come into like 5 different markets, mostly around Utah. But we have got the biggest gift. Just like my friend, when he called the shot, got the gift of somebody else saying, hey, take my 501c3. We had a plastic surgeon say the same thing. He said, dude, I have a 501c3 nonprofit called Utah Smart. He's like, to help me with what I do. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm not a plastic surgeon. He's like, exactly. He's like, I do the physical work, but you know how impossible? He's like, literally, I've searched the world. It's been impossible to find someone that does the mental and emotional work after I do the physical work. He's like, Ben, your film needs to be seen by every single person who has a facial difference. And then it needs to be seen twice by every person who doesn't have a facial difference. He said this is the best art. It's the best film I've ever seen on a TV screen. And bro, when he said that, I was like, holy cow.
Yeah.
Because it's about me. So I kind of hold back my expectations a little bit.
Yeah, same.
We've had some radical, I mean, just go on my social media and see the feedback that we've had.
I follow all the time. We can find at Ben Kjar, that's KJAR on Instagram. I follow all the time, dude. And I think it's fantastic. I think we do these things in life, right? Like you get 4XC on your sleeve, All-American, D1 All-American, all these things, thinking this is why I'm doing it, is for this thing. And then you get to this point in your life, and that guy comes along and tells you this, right? And then you're like, oh, was all of that actually for this? I did all that thinking that's what it was for, and it was actually for this good thing that I'm leaving with humanity and doing. It's funny. It's ironic the way the divine works, I think, sometimes. Like, he lets us know sometimes that we don't got it all figured out. And I feel like sometimes that's how he does it. That he makes us remember, hey, I'm still the guy, always have been. So I really appreciate it, man. It's been fantastic. I'm really excited for you. Congratulations on the movie, by the way. And I'm really excited, dude. Hopefully we get to, it sounds like we've been in proximity with some of the same people. Hopefully we get to meet up pretty soon and hang out, and you get to hear you speak, because it's been fantastic to have you as a guest on the podcast for sure.
Dude, God bless you, brother, and give Eli a big hug for me.
I will, man. He's gonna need it. He's not much to hug. He's 138 right now, and he tried a 10-pound cut after Thanksgiving in 48 hours. God bless him. You know, it's getting to be rough out there for the guys cutting weight this time of year. But yeah, I absolutely will, man. I really, really appreciate it for myself here in Nashville, and for my buddy Ben, who's got a wonderful elk mount behind him. There's a whole story with that. Ask me if you see me, I'll tell you. This is In the Mix, where asphalt is opportunity. Thanks so much, Ben, for joining us.
Thank you, brother.
All right. Peace, everybody.
You will never live an ordinary life. So make it extraordinary.
World champion! 1, 2, 3! 1, 2, 3! 1, 2, 3!